All right, I'd like to call the committee meeting to order for October 4th, 2022 at 1900 hours. Sandy, if you take roll call.
Yes. I have committee members, Chris Samples,
Here.
John Talbot,
Here.
Nathan Mize,
Present.
Jen Christensen is absent, Bill Motisi.
Here.
I have temporary chairperson and committee member, William Luxinger.
Here.
President Rick Worm is absent, Treasurer Brenda Onavini. Here. And I, Clerk Sandy Mosen here.
Got to mention this, start the timer, by the way.
Motion to approve September 6th, 2022 Committee of Committee minutes.
Second. John made a motion to approve the September 6th, 2022 committee of the committee meeting minutes. Chris second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Warren, all in favor?
Roll call.
Jen is absent, Bill,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Chris.
Yeah.
William.
Yes. All right, did Rick pass anything on to you?
Nope.
Do you have anything?
Yes. That's gonna be the hiccup in our meeting.
Stop the timer.
So, Rick is here. Rick Hoffman is here to discuss a building permit dilemma that we've come up with. And so I just told him before he spends his money on applying for a variance, I'd like to kind of see where the board's at with their opinions. The dilemma has come in that Rick is building a deck for the fence. And he would like the fence to be on top of the deck. That being said, it then makes the height of the fence 8 feet, 10 inches. We do have another resident that was previously allowed to do that under a previous building inspector. It is not to code, but it has been allowed in the past. So I guess I just need to know before Rick's. It is.
We have a pool. Yes.
It's to block the view of the pool and the deck. I just kind of want your opinion before I ask Rick to spend money on something and this board is wholly against it. So if there is any wishy-washy or in favor of, then I would ask Rick.
Well, but if it's on the deck, wouldn't it be just a partition to block the sun?
It
or
is
shade?
not because it's
That way we
still
don't
a
call it a-
fence. And I believe in your scenario, it's even, the posts are in the ground, not a part of the deck.
You sure you
I
wanna do
have-
that?
That,
You sure you wanna do that? It really comes out looking like a fort.
it's already up.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
High check.
The top of it's 3'2.5".
And then your fence will be 5 feet on top of there.
The deck is 5'8" above. I don't have a problem cutting it off some, but
Do you want him to use the mic?
I don't wanna
Oh,
cut it,
yeah,
I don't wanna
Rick.
cut it off down to 2'10".
Rick, you
which-
gotta talk into the mic or my recording device doesn't pick you up. You can bring the mic to you.
Green, make sure the green dot's on too.
It is, I turned it on. You can bring the mic to you if you want to sit down.
I can stand, I don't have a problem. But my fence is up, the deck is up. Or we're in the process of putting the deck boards on. So it's, when you stand on the deck, if I have to follow the village code, it's at the top of the fence is at 32 inches off the top of the deck.
Not
I mean, literally right here. So I just,
And how far
that
is the
doesn't-
deck off the ground again?
30.
3'2.5". So that puts it at the top of the pool.
So then you'd be required a rail then too.
Yeah, it'd have to have some kind of,
And if the rail would be what, a height of 36 inches, so we're asking for another 2 feet on top of what the railing would be potentially.
Like the house across the street.
yeah, this one right here has got exactly, they put their fence up started at the deck and went up 6 feet.
There you go, that house.
They didn't have to go through all those hoops, did they?
They did not have,
To go through all those hoops.
Probably before they had those.
No,
no,
I
it
put one on
was,
my deck.
it should not have been allowed. It was not allowable at the time that it was approved.
I drove around the subdivision a little bit.
There's a couple of them.
There's pools out there with the fence above the deck.
Oh,
And
yeah, mine was above the deck.
And-
I put it on,
I'm not arguing one way or the other.
you go.
Those shouldn't have been allowed either.
well, I don't think there was, when I put up mine, I don't think there was any.
Right,
It wasn't.
I'm not sure that rules were followed as well as they are.
It wasn't.
Maybe You know, I don't either, except for that mine turned out to be too high and I had to cut off 2 feet. So I'm just saying,
Your fence?
yeah, I had a deck, it was on a. Off the pool, went almost all the way around it, and I put the fence on the back. It was 5 or 6 feet, I can't remember what it was, you
Yeah,
remember?
I think.
But it was too high. And it looked like Fort Davis Junction, so. We came back and cut off like 2 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just too high, you could feel free, I don't
Yeah.
have an issue with it, I just thought it was too much. For me, I haven't seen yours, so. I
Even
haven't-
after you cut it off, that does still look like Fort Davis.
Well, it's better now.
It does look bad.
But in truth, the reason I did it is because I have a sloping backyard that just fell off. So the fence came up to the bottom of the deck. So everything, anybody who was on the deck was totally exposed. I just,
Well, quit laying out naked. Gee, man.
I'm just saying, you want a little bit of privacy, right? That's all.
Well, you're on
And
a,
like I said, I don't have a problem cutting some of it off if I need to, but it's there. You know, it's already built. Anybody that wants to look at it,
I'm fine.
let me know.
Just applying for a permit retroactively.
Well, he already.
No, I
had
already
the
bought, I got the permit. It's paid for.
The permit did specify that he wasn't allowed to build anything over 6 feet.
But when I talked to
Vince,
I told him that it won't be over 6 foot above the deck.
yes,
And he said, okay.
yeah. I don't think he understood.
I don't think it did either. When he came out, he goes, I'm quite impressed on how I built the framing for the deck. He goes, normally you don't see homeowners build like that. I'm like, I've been a carpenter most of my life. I know how to build things. He goes, good news is the framing passes, the fence don't.
Yeah.
So that's.
So it's really is our hiccup. So and then I guess my second question is, do we want Rick to go through the variance process? Which is typically what would be required, or what does the board want to do?
What if we didn't do okay. So the variance product, is the way we have to do it, or is it a way to not?
That is the binding way to do it, so that it is a legal fence on a deck or a legal fence height. It would have to go through a variance process. The village did reduce the fees for variances for residents to $150 several years ago, which is a loss for us because one meeting or public hearing and we're already out the money. But they wanted to make it reasonable for residents to be able to apply for the variances.
Does the variance allow for future people to have a easier chance of doing this in the future?
It would allow that other
Case
people, and it would give somebody a basis for future variances, but otherwise no.
No, by somebody doing a variance does not establish precedent.
Okay,
it just makes his,
that's the
legal.
language I was looking for.
However,
words.
from my perspective, I don't think we've ever angled somebody toward the variance process unless the variance request affects multiple property owners or an easement. In this particular case, I don't think it does.
I just directed somebody toward the variance because we've never had the need to, in my opinion here.
The whole fence thing, the fence and the ditch.
Yeah,
have
that's
always
true.
Easement.
That's true. So are we just okay leaving it as is at 8 foot? Does the village want it, or 8 foot 10 inches, or does the village board choose to, would like to see something slightly shorter?
Right. I'm fine with the way it is.
Needs the neighborhood resell property, I'd have a different opinion.
Do we want him to just sign the standard letter then, like I do for fences, that essentially says that if something happens to the fence, you're not allowed to rebuild it as is?
That's fine.
We'll just be back here.
I mean, cause if we do that for fences, I mean,
We
you know,
do.
like, and I like what William says, it's not really only affecting
Yeah.
Rick, so
And I
I'm fine.
don't know, this sounds like more of a partition than a,
Yeah, well, that's what I think. That's
like
what I
as you
think.
stated earlier, so.
So refer to it as a partition, not
All
a.
right. So when the board would be okay if I then did just the
Andrew.
letter?
I have no.
Yeah.
trouble with that.
Okay.
Does that mean a future board could turn around and reverse
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. well,
Then any future board can reverse anything that you guys.
Well, now,
Oh.
once you have a.
But I don't think they're gonna do that,
That's
so.
I
Yes,
think so.
yes.
Yes, that's what I.
Yeah.
The choice.
Okay.
That's-
Well, I guess that we can allow him to do the variance if he so chooses, or he can.
Sign the letter.
Just sign a letter and be gone. So it's up to you I would say that if you want to make sure that you're locked in without any future board being able to change this decision, you can go through the variance project.
Yeah. Or you
just
just
sign-
sign the
And if
letter.
you just
that
go to
goes
sign,
to
we can
them,
just sign and
do
be,
the
everyone's
variance
happy here.
later if you need to.
Yep.
Let's sign the letter.
Then I will call you when it's ready.
All right.
All
thank you.
right, and I'll let Vince know about our conversation.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
I have a little comment to make here. The aesthetic design is going to enhance your property, the value, and also the appearance of the neighborhood. Would you believe that to be true?
I guess I didn't understand the statement.
Okay. The design that you have up there is going to enhance your property, and also the aesthetics will fit in with the surrounding areas. That's what I'm saying. And I think it's a great improvement to both your property and for your neighbors. And I'd certainly like to see you be granted this variance. I think it's good, and it shows that we're trying to be, the board is trying to be responsive and positive for a lot of things that do come up like this. So I'm all in on this. Thank you.
The only other things I had is next week, Brenda and I will both be out of the office for the IPMG seminar on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then I will be gone the remainder of the week for the Municipal Clerks of Illinois Conference in Bloomington. So office staff will be a little light. As a reminder, there is not a meeting next Tuesday. It is
It'll be
the
the
third Tuesday.
Oh,
The whole conversation from a few weeks ago.
makes sense.
So
now.
there will be a meeting on the 18th, not on the 11th.
Better put
I know
that-
you won't be there.
Well,
I'll try to
the
remember.
rest of this week and starting January 1, my meetings are now on the second Tuesday of the month, so. You're that either.
That's fine. You've only got a few left. Anyway, so
Glad
just-
you said-
there is no meeting next week. I will not be sending anybody any board packets. It'll be the following week.
I remember you saying that.
Now I do that, she said.
That's all I had.
Would you say, John, you were a short time? So before you were a short?
No,
time?
I said I'd remember, never mind.
I mean, never, I think it's important if you're gonna be a short time.
Brenda,
I have nothing.
anybody got anything from Matt or questions on the project status report in the packet? Going to go to the committees. Jen?
She did send me an email asking that I remind everybody that the Halloween drive-through is the 15th from 2 to 4 at the fire station, and that the Halloween trick or treating suggested hours are 5 to 8 on the 31st.
Tell you what kind of candy they were gonna have?
I did not, but I'm sure Brenda might be able to tell you.
You got kids that,
I don't know about the candy yet. She has not purchased the candy yet.
there's an age limit.
I don't know that there is.
I
an
don't
age
think there
limit.
is.
That's kind of discrimination.
Yep, no age limit.
I don't think
She
there's-
would give you a bag if you go through the drive-through.
I'm just,
Anything else from Jen?
That was all she left me.
Brenda, you have anything for me?
No,
Bill?
Nothing.
John?
Nothing this evening.
Chris?
yeah, sorry. And I meant to actually do this last week, but because last week took forever in a day to get through. We need to probably, visit a policy on going forward that when we have a problem ditch, instead of, trying to do handwork on it, that we start to, put the small concrete runways in the problem ditches going forward. If we could set aside some of the budget for streets and ditches to address the problem ditches like we would possibly do for the sidewalks. Have we ever come to an agreement on that?
Something-
Yes, we do have a policy on sidewalks.
So is our policy going to be that we're going to set a certain portion aside?
We-
A certain portion each year?
Yes, we are required under our policy to review a section of the sidewalk in the village each year and then repair as necessary.
Right, right. So I just think that we should have some type of policy kind of like that for the ditches.
So here's the difference. This policy side for the sidewalk
I
is
know.
mandated.
I know, but
It
it's
should
coming out of the
not.
streets and ditches budget, right? So
Hmm.
to me, it would be better to fix one ditch permanently than 5 ditches temporarily.
Do you want to come up with a policy then? or
Yeah,
a policy
no, I do. I
guideline?
just want to know if the board thinks that going forward, you know, I think any projects that we do in the future that we go ahead and put the small concrete thing in the bottom of the ditches. What do you call it? The
Abutments.
whatever in the bottom of the ditches so that we have water flow without there being stagnant areas or the fact that it silts in. And then we have problem ditches in the future. I mean, it's a problem with open ditches and it's the most cost effective way. And we've been doing it.
I would be interested.
The
Hmm?
background of that is the open ditches actually. The open ditch format actually does not want concrete. You're supposed to have earth and grass and everything else. Our problem became the sinkhole
Small strip. It's like 12 inch.
because it creates too much of a waterway as in.
Moves the water.
It'll move them all of the water and then one neighbor that you put it on onto the next neighbor's yard.
But we have it in places like that already. and it
No,
doesn't-
we have it in long strips
No,
already.
no,
but
that's
what
not
you're
all-
asking-
no.
in my ditch.
I can tell you that's not
Do you?
totally the case because we put one on Red Fox. That's just
The length of 1 yard.
two.
Oh, it's on the
But that-
other side.
But they had a lot of problems and.
Well,
That
yeah,
might be
it was the
good.
same thing. When you have no fall,
is in the. Yep, you have to
Yeah.
do that.
right?
But it's a
That's
case
an
by
issue.
case.
There
Right,
are some-
I'm not saying.
Hey,
Every year.
Sorry.
I know, Rick and
Sorry,
Nathan.
and I didn't really mean to hold up the whole thing. But I was just, and clearly, if you have a decent fall in. So that the water will run without an issue, but I'm saying problem.
So are you looking, I mean,
Determining what's up.
Yeah, that's my question.
Brett
Yeah.
already does that.
We have a list of problems
Yeah,
and if,
we're going to get to.
if you're gonna set it up in a budget,
Yeah.
wouldn't you just set it up with a potential to do all of them at that way eventually?
Well, that's.
Because if you're gonna set up a budget and allot something for it, shouldn't you just do it so we do the whole subdivision?
starting with the worst ones, the least.
That would cost too much money but eventually that would be the idea. That you would have, except for clearly.
But
where-
then why didn't the village 10 years ago, when the conversation came up, switch over to the closed ditch system?
I did bring that up.
Because that was. too-
That was not here, I have.
That wasn't.
I don't-
I suggested that we switch to, if this is what the community wanted, we pitched an SSA specifically only for the Harvest Glen subdivision.
Then, didn't Matt
That would have
also. say
closed
it
all the
wasn't
ditches and
Good
everything else.
engineering.
Yeah,
And
and then
nobody
that
wa-
assessment would have been against the homeowners.
Well,
Yeah.
even then, the board chose not to do it because you wouldn't, so it was on the first section of roadway. I think it was Harvest Glen, and they could have only gone back to Autumn Wolf as opposed to all the way back to Autumn Wood. And so that was when you had to decide. So if you wanted the closed ditch, we were only doing half of the amount of work as we were doing it we kept the open ditch on the roadways.
We wouldn't be able to put the storm sewers in and everything else.
Yeah.
That was that issue.
And I think Matt said it wasn't even a good idea from an engineering standpoint, because the way the village was designed originally was for that water to move the way the water moves, not to be on top of the yard. And
Right.
But to address your point, eventually, you know, except for ditches that were going to run without an issue. Then I would move to that area so that you would have fewer problem ditches with standing water.
I think that needs to be a conversation too with Matt, and Matt needs to give.
No,
some
and I
criteria as
will,
to
I
what
will,
qualifies.
I will
Add my ditch
discuss
to the
that.
problem list, please.
But
Yeah.
Add
And
my ditch
mine.
to the problem list.
And Brenda's.
is it?
They ignore me.
Mine
I mean,
comes out of my-
you had the washout on your road. Wasn't that pretty close?
no, he's across the street.
No, it was my neighbor and I've had one across the street and down. the street.
It's missing him. I mean,
As a resident, that would be great for me too, because they came out recently and fixed all the runoff that came in mine, so.
I did.
Mine now comes out and diverts in toward my.
Cause it was over the culvert from mine, so
Thanks for
the
extending.
dirt built over. it.
So I think that you might be opening a can of worms, but
There's
I
many
think
times
Matt
I've
already
fallen
has
in
some
that ditch.
policies in place on how he reviews the ditches when he looks at them for plat 10, and so he may already have some sort of policy for you to start from too.
Work up something, Chris, and bring it to
He
us.
has something. Give it to him too, because he told me.
I'm just saying, you know, and it's just, I guess it's up to whoever's gonna do streets and ditches. And that's fine, yeah. Well, I'm just saying. You know, just to take a small amount of money so you can fix a problem that.
Every year do
and-
something.
And without
But then-
having an issue.
But then the next,
The
but ditch will be a
issue
problem, the
there.
next ditch will be a problem.
And that's
I mean-
highly possible.
You're gonna have to work. your way
In
back.
25 years, we'll have them all fixed.
But then the water's gonna go too fast and then it's gonna like.
Small concrete, small.
I'm gonna guess that Matt's gonna say the issue there is you can't just pick and choose where you wanna repair it.
I'll discuss it
It's
with
gotta
them,
be.
but
backwards
these are the same
downhill.
engineers that engineered one that just washed out down the road, so. You know, and you could see that it was gonna be an issue. I've dealt with the ditches for the last 4 years, and I know that if you're not careful, you will get the water going too fast and they'll cause a,
Mhm.
a problem down the road. But I'm talking the small ones, nothing big, just so
All
that,
right.
and this is the place where there's no, I want them in ditches that don't have fall so that the water keeps on running and you don't have stagnant.
Sounds great. Work something out.
Thanks. I'll work on that.
Thank you.
No, I really will. So I think that's important to,
No, I agree with it.
I don't want these issues in the future.
Anything else for us?
No, sorry, that's it.
Any- anything?
I don't have anything.
Unfinished business,
Haven't heard anything.
all still in everybody else's court.
Yep.
I've never heard anything from Verizon in 6 months.
Ditto's on the other one.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ball's still in their court, isn't it?
Yep.
Anything from the public?
Linda, have anything?
Glenda, do you have any?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing further, Rick?
No, I'm good.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Nate made a motion to adjourn, John. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Never is.
7:22.